Oh shit, I gotta make this video. Whew! Zenless Zone Zero. It's out! Well, the beta's out. And I got in! And I have been playing it pretty much ever since it came out. And I have a lot to say about the game. So I wanted to give you guys my first impressions on what I think about Zenless Zone Zero. The good, the meh, and, areas that I think could use improvement. So stick around, guys. I know y'all won't want to miss this one. I'm really sorry for the immediate abrupt interruption of your video, but I'm here in the North Pole, and I'm definitely not Biso wearing some gunner glasses from the early 2010s. I'm here in the North Pole, and I just got a memo about Christmas this year. It looks like there's going to be a delay because Santa has been spending too much time watching Miso streams, which are happening every night at around 9 to 10 p.m. PST. Dang, it must be really good if Santa is delaying Christmas for his streams. So I think I'd recommend all y'all to tune in and watch at twitch.tv/misosoup and see what all the hubbub is about. Sorry about that. Yeah, back to the video. So let's start with the good. I have to say that the best thing about this game has to be the style. mihoyo does an absolutely excellent job of making this game feel very stylish. From the flashy skill animations, to the unique character designs, to the little quirky pieces like this arcade in town where you can play mini games. There's really never a dull part in this game. I feel like an absolute badass when beating up the corrupted in the hollow. Something that I thought was especially unique to the style of Zenless Zone Zero is the part you're navigating through the hollow. You have this little bunny character called a Bang Boo, which navigates through a bunch of old CRT televisions. You have to explore unknown areas, solve puzzles, and navigate through this maze to complete the mission. There's different hazards you have to wade through, sometimes even multiple floors to these mazes. All in all, this was such an enjoyable part of the game that brings a healthy amount of puzzle solving in between the combat sequences. And I think this really is a characteristic of mihoyo games. Say what you might about them, some of you might like them, some of you don't, and for me, I personally played Genshin a lot at the beginning, but dropped off and never really got into Honkai. But I can really say that their games have a very unique style to each of them. It's very easy to tell just from a screenshot even, which game is Genshin, which game's Honkai, which game's Zenless Zone Zero. They all have very unique styles about them, but they all look really good in their own way and have a different feel to playing them. So I think the style of this game is absolutely amazing. Now, the other part that I think they nail extremely well is the combat. It feels so good to press the buttons in this game. It's a very simple system where you have a main attack button, a skill button, a super button, a dodge button, and a character swap button. For the most part, you're going to be mashing your main attack button and activate your character skill at any time and use the empowered version of it when you have enough energy meter. Of course, you have your ultimate skill, which you can activate whenever your ultimate meter hits the max. You'll be able to unleash your flashiest and strongest hitting skill. But that's not all. The combat really starts to shine when you bring in the more advanced combat techniques, such as perfect dodging, perfect assists, the daze meter, and chain attacks. I'm not going to go into the specifics about how each of these mechanics work exactly, but just know that when you land them, your characters are able to do a ton of flashy attacks and do a lot of damage. So that's the combat, and I think it is absolutely amazing. It looks really good, it feels really good to play, and I think that anybody watching this from the outside will be like, wow, game looks a lot of fun to play. That's where I think the absolute highest peaks of this game ends. Now, there's other good parts about this game as well, but I'd say those are the areas where this game excels at. And now I wanted to go into the area where I'm like, these are kind of meh parts of the game that I thought didn't really affect the overall feel of the game. It didn't make the game better or worse. It's just, it is what it is, right? And that first piece is definitely the typical mobile game BS that this game has. Now, a lot of people think this is a negative and a bad thing, but for me, I'm playing a mobile game and I kind of expect this typical mobile game BS, right? So it exists in this game, much like other mihoyo games, and I expect it. Now, the game would have been actually better if it didn't have it, but honestly, it didn't make it worse because I went into this understanding and knowing that, hey, this is a mihoyo gacha game. This is going to happen. There's going to be an energy system. There's going to be a system where if you pull dupes for a character, your character gets stronger. Things like that. Those are pieces of the game that I expected coming in, so they didn't really detract from my experience. The second piece of this really has to do with the voice acting. The Japanese voice acting is what I had on for the most part, and that was really good. But the English voice acting was definitely, let's just say, needed improvement. So that's something that I thought could have been a little bit better. But again, you can just swap it to the Japanese voice acting, or, it's just part of the game that doesn't really affect me. I can do it, I can live with it. And the last piece definitely has to be the story. It's not extremely engaging. It's really just used as a vehicle to move you forward in the game. But, it's okay. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's just kind of there, right? And helps build the world. So if the story could have been better, that would have been great. But I didn't have high expectations going into it. And now for the areas that I thought could have been improved. Now, there really wasn't much bad about the game, to be honest. If mihoyo released it right now, I'm sure there would be a ton of people who would enjoy it, and it would be one of the biggest games, gacha games, mobile games out there. But I think the point of a beta test is for feedback to be given, right? So I really wanted to bring up one thing that I thought could have been improved, and that thing is the perfect dodge and perfect assist system, and specifically the indicator for it. How it works is that you're able to pull off a perfect dodge or a perfect assist when the monsters have this gold twinkle on their head. That's to indicate that they're about to do an attack, whether it's a range attack or a melee attack. When you see that and you hit dodge or your character change button at the right time, you'll perform a perfect dodge or a perfect assist. You'll be able to follow this up with a strong attack afterwards. From what I could tell in my hours of playing this game, the combat really revolves a lot around this system. And if you don't do it well, you're really doing potato damage. So my critique around the system is that the monsters can be all over the screen, right? Sometimes they're behind your screen, sometimes they're in front of the screen, to the left, to the right. They're going to be all over the place. So if you aren't looking directly at them, you can miss this indicator and miss your perfect dodge or assist. You'll just get hit by the monster. And this is fine, but what ends up happening is it's because of how big it is in the game to your DPS, I find myself really just moving the camera around in odd angles to where the enemy I end up hitting is like off the screen, and I'm just looking at the enemies behind me rather than focusing on like the combat or how my character looks or how it feels. You can see in this video that I have in the background, right? My character and the monster I'm hitting are basically out of the frame because all I'm doing is focusing on the enemies behind me so I can hit those perfect dodges and assists. So because it's such a core piece of your damage, and also you don't want to get hit, right? Because you get hurt, your characters get hurt. Like, I wish that they would just give you an off-screen indicator to the side when the monster's attacking. So like you're looking forward and then all of a sudden, like kind of on the side, there's like a little, gold glint or something on the right side if the monster's coming on the right side, and then you hit your perfect parry then. Something like that. So you can really focus on the combat and still be able to, see those indicators. Either that or just make it so that perfect dodges or parries are more of a luxury, right? If you hit them, great. But if not, you're not really punished by a huge decrease in damage. It just feels like such a core part of the system and this core part of the DPS that if you're not noticing them and doing them, you're really missing out on a lot. So that's it. Those are my first impressions of the game. Overall, I think this game is a ton of fun. It's extremely stylish, flashy, the combat feels absolutely amazing. I'd really recommend it to anybody who wants to check this game out when it comes out. And even if you didn't like the previous miHoYo games, I'd recommend you give it a shot. Like I said in the first part of this video, like miHoYo does a great job of making all their games feel different and unique. So if you didn't like Genshin or Honkai, you might just like this one. So thank y'all for watching this video, and if you made it to the end, all I can say is I love you, and please hit that like button, hit that sub button, ring the bell for notifications. Like, I'm really trying to make this YouTube thing work out this time, so I would really appreciate your support. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.